Welcome to this edition of Healthy Habits. I'm your host, Amy Davis. With us I have registered dietitian and healthy aging expert, Jeannie Peters. Today, Jeannie is going to talk to us about some of the benefits of adding fermented foods to the diet. Jeannie, thank you so much for being here with us.
Always good to be back.
So first, let's start off with, what is a fermented food?
It's a great question. Actually, our ancestors developed fermentation or culturing of foods before there was canning and heat preservation, and they did it simply with just a couple of ingredients. It might be cucumbers or cabbages or whatever were the vegetables of the season, along with a little bit of salt and water, which made a brine. And in that process, after just several days, even to a couple of weeks, it developed something called lactic acid. So there's acids that are produced by the naturally occurring bacteria, probiotics they're called, which would develop in these foods, and that lactic acid actually had many beneficial qualities. Not only did it help people to get through the winter without having to use heat preservation or canning, but it also gave them these amazing nutritional benefits. Sometimes we think of culturing foods like pickles, for example, have vinegar in which they've preserved them. This is not using any vinegar or any heat whatsoever.
It's salt and water,
exactly,
basically, and that creates this.
Yes.
And what are some of the benefits of adding fermented foods to
Great
the diet?
question. So I mentioned that lactic acid. So this is lacto-fermented foods, and lacto meaning that particular acid has some amazing benefits, one of which is when we get more of the lactobacillus or these probiotics into our gut, it actually increases digestion. It improves our immune system. 95% of our entire immune system lives in our gut. So this helps to activate the immunity. It helps to break foods down. So this actually improves the digestibility of things like complicated proteins like like meats or vegetables. By the way, we have almost 4 pounds of bacteria in our gut. Most of them are somewhat unhealthy, particularly if you've ever had antibiotics and you killed off all the bacteria. So this is a way of restoring the good guys, which helps to maintain balance in the body.
And what are some ways we can get the fermented foods? What are different examples of readily made and maybe some that we could
Yep, well, I brought a couple today because all cultures around the world have always cultured foods. So it's not difficult to find, but you may not realize some of these are. So for example, many of us know about yogurt.
Yes.
And the key here with yogurt is looking to make sure that when you buy a yogurt, you look on the back to make sure that it actually contains live cultures. Because many companies now have learned how to use just gelatin to thicken up milk. But it's actually the live cultures that break down the milk proteins and make it more digestible and easy for many people to be able to incorporate into their diet. This is Lifeway Kefir, and Kefir started off in Russia. It's very popular in Turkey. I'm going to give you a glass of this.
It looks like yogurt milk.
It does,
kind of.
and it's
like
Kefir means feel good in Turkish.
Oh.
So it's one of those foods that is great for people who need a little bit of a calming down experience before they go to bed. So cheers. We're going to go ahead and have our kefir.
It's good. It tastes like a yogurty milk drink.
Yeah.
It's a little tangy. I could taste the strawberry.
It's great for moms who are looking to get a little bit more protein into their kids before they go to school. This has got like 10 grams of protein in a glass about that size. It's got 10 live and active cultures. All those cultures have different jobs. All of them can help us improve our sense of well-being. So this one is kombucha, which has become more popular. Some people are using this as an alternative to wine or to to a fizzy drink. Yeah. So this is one in which it's basically a combination of like a yeast bacteria that helps to ferment this drink. And for somebody who's looking for an alternative to a soda, this can be a great example. Yeah, because you've got only 10 calories, maybe 15 calories in a glass about that size.
What flavor is this one?
This one's divine grape. This is what I use instead of a little bit of white wine or red wine.
It's good. It's tangy. It's a little bit of a vinegar taste, but it's definitely
it's like wine with a teaspoon of vinegar. That's what it's. But you know what? A lot of people are
carbonation.
Yes.
Yeah. It's good.
So a couple other foods from around the world. Miso is very popular in the Japanese culture. This is basically soybeans in which it's made into a paste. Bacteria has been added to it. So again, probiotics have been added to help break down the soybeans. So they've pre-digested this. And then when you mix this with just, not boiling, but hot water, this can make a great beverage. So miso soup is something that most of us, if they've ever gone to a Japanese restaurant, you'll have that.
I had no idea it was made out of soy.
So then we move into like the more European area. So you think of things like sauerkraut.
It's popular with bratwurst.
Right. So this is, try this. This is a little bit of wild brine. It's a sauerkraut that has used no vinegar. So it's just basically salt and a little bit of spices.
Right.
And this is
ooh, that is tangy to eat by itself, but it's good.
It's got a little bit of
pickles.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's great when you're having something like protein. So this would be terrific with a sausage, obviously, but it's great with like chicken or turkey, or to put that on a burger.
Yeah.
It'll add not only tang, but it's adding value. It's adding nutrition. And who doesn't like pickles? Sometimes we think of pickles as just part of like the good American foods. But this one is different because, again, it's been just using saltwater brine. So there's no vinegar in here, and yet through the processing, you got to try that.
All right.
Crunchy, crispy.
It's good.
Those are some examples. And then, of course, for people who are just like, you know what, I'm not doing any of these foods, you can always just go and add in a probiotic, which is another way of being able to get the benefits that you would naturally get from these foods that are cultured.
And lastly, what are some of the symptoms of improving once you've had these? What should we expect to notice from adding these to our life?
Great question, Amie. So one of the things that will happen is your immune system will improve, your digestion will improve. Many people are shocked to find out how they actually start improving their overall amount of vitamins. These probiotics can actually produce many of the B vitamins that we need.
Well, Jeannie, thank you so much for being here with us. We learn something new every single time, so thank you so much.
Yeah, great to have been here.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Healthy Habits. We'll see you next time.